Welcome to Yoga Framework. My name is Jeffrey, and in this video we're going to explain PAILS and RAILS for hip flexion. For hip flexion, depending on how tight your hip really is, you're going to need some elevation. If you're really tight, you might take the leg onto some surface like a Bosu ball, a block, or a plyo box, depending. And then you would use that. You'd have a straight leg here, and this would be the flexion, just this little bit here. You could also stabilize yourself by using like a bow staff or stick mobility or something like that. But for our purposes today, I'm going to show you seated, and you could do this easily in a chair. I'm just going to go a little lower because I have that room. So like I said, you could easily sit into a chair and create this position. Say a chair, your one leg would be like this, the other leg is straight. The main thing is that you're finding knee extension and your hip flexion. So you're going to find the edge of hip flexion by leaning into it lightly, passively. That's it. That's all you want. You could have blocks underneath your hands to create even a more of a passive position, but fingertips is fine as long as you're regulating it correctly. All right, again, it's 2 minutes here. It's been almost a minute. You're not trying, right? A stretch isn't forced. You just take the joint to the end range, which in this case is the hip, right? I have the knee extension and then hip flexion to the end range, and then I'm waiting. Right, I got another minute from here. As long as I feel something, I feel something. Literally. You can take your finger and gently touch your leg, and you can feel that, like the lightest touch. Your tissue is no different. When you're leaning into a stretch or finding a past stretch, if you feel something, even the lightest bit, you know it's doing something for the same reason it does something here. About 30 seconds left. Right? Maybe you got a little more room. That's okay. Don't force anything. Right? What is your body saying? Where is it really telling you the end ranges? I could cheat this, right? I could do one of these, around my back and all that. But I don't want to do that. I want to keep the stretch, the form. I'm going to bow the stretch. I'm going to hip hinge. I'm right at the end range. I feel it right here perfectly. I'm controlling it. All right, we've hit the 2-minute mark. So the PAILS contraction is going to be pushing down into the floor. So drive the heel into the floor. As if there's something under your heel, like a $100 bill and the wind is blowing and you want to hold it there really tight. And you're just pushing the heel down into that bill, 5 seconds. And then the rails contraction, think about lifting the leg, but what you do is it ends up pulling you closer, so closing the hip, right? So you're closing this tissue here, right? You're closing it all off. Pull it together, and you see I've gained a little bit of room, 3 seconds, and then I'm not gonna move, I'm gonna stay here. I'm going to try to calm the nervous system a little bit. Not that I'm just letting go of tension, but I'm relaxing a little bit, trying not to give it effort. Again, PAILS contraction, push, heel into the floor. There's a $100 bill under your heel, and you're driving it down. The wind is blowing. It's a tornado, and you're like, I'm not letting that bill go. Rails contraction, pull. Pull together, close the tissue, right? And you can see I'm coming to like a flat finger position at this point. Close the tissue and relax a little here. My hands aren't fully flat, but I'm close. I'm working. PAILS contraction. One more time. Push into the floor. Driving. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, rails contraction, pull, right? Flex the hip more, close it, Now my hands are flat. I'm pretty much at my end range. I can feel my muscles working. Keep closing the hip and then try to calm down, relax the nervous system. Staying here for a few more seconds. And I'm doing the whole thing with you. We're not speeding this up. I'm not cutting it. It might be boring, but this is the way you need to do it. That's why. And then we're going to slowly come out of this. And then we're going to switch sides. Whew, that's intense. All right, other side. For me, right? For you, it's going to be different. I don't know how you're setting this up. The main thing is the straight leg, knee extension, and then the hip flexion, right? That's where you're creating that, you know, stretch. Hip flexion is the move. So straight leg, flex your hip, find the end range. Again, see how I'm fingertips. I could force this, but see how my back rounds? Now I'm using spinal flexion to achieve the position. That's not what I want to do. I want to be strict. Hip extension. All right, we're going to stay here for 2 minutes. Bow the stretch when you can, right? Keep checking in. Are you doing the moves? Extend the knee, flex your hip, bow the stretch. That's a spinal extension. And we're doing the full 2 minutes. I'm not speeding this up. I know it might be boring, but let's face it, stretching is boring. You're waiting for the body to open up, but using that mobility is not boring. So do the work. Study, right? You're studying right now. Your muscles are all thinking. You got a minute left. Knee extension, hip flexion, spinal extension, right? All three of those working at the same time, almost creating like a balance between them. You're not forcing it. That's why I'm pulling back. I'm making sure that it's not going to creep into my back. That's what would happen. It would creep, the tension would kind of come into my back in a bad way, or my sacrum at least. You got 30 seconds left till we hit the 2 minutes, or about 2 minutes on this side. And then we're going to begin the PAILS contraction for 3 rounds. All right, about 15. Check in. Knee extension, hip flexion, spinal extension. When you're ready, begin the PAILS contraction. Push the heel down like you're holding some really important documents underneath your heel. The wind is blowing, but you can't lose that. It's like a winning lottery ticket. It's more than $100. Keep pushing. My leg's shaking already. I don't know if you could see that. Rails contraction, close, right? Bow the stretch, close the joint here, right? I'm not leaning because I could support it. Not that you would, that's really intense. But know that I'm not leaning. I'm trying to close the joint. Few more seconds, holding the rails contraction and hip flexion, and then relaxing. Begin the PAILS contraction. One more time, push into the floor. Notice I've achieved a little more range. Pushing down into the floor. PAILS contraction, push. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction, pull. Close the hip, right? Work on closing the tissue on the inside of the joint, the regressive tissue. All right, I'm already able to get my hands flat on this side. I'm working more efficiently. I'm closing that off, 5 seconds. Working hard here, and then try to relax in this. Okay, last one. When you're ready, you're going to begin that PAILS contraction. Notice I'm not decreasing range. Push down, PAILS contraction. From here, about another 5 seconds. And then when you're ready, rails contraction, close the tissue. Try to find more. Belly to thigh. Don't lean, right? I could lift. I mean, I don't want to because it's so much tension. I'm not ready for that. But the idea is I'm not really supporting myself with the hands, and then I can relax here. I'm going to stay here for a moment. Going to let that lasting biological change happen, or the path to creating that with time under tension. And then let's slowly make our way out of this. I would work to incorporate these at least 2 to 3 times a week within your regular hip mobility or workout routines. My name is Jeffrey. This is Yoga Framework, and every week I teach you how to create a better yoga and mobility practice. Thanks for watching.